Hi, how you doing? My name is Garrett Leverage. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today about how good the 1990s Cowboys were. There's been a lot of good teams over the years. A lot of you would resonate with maybe the 60s Packers or the 70s Steelers or the 80s Redskins, Bears, 49ers. But today I'd like to make the case that the 90s Cowboys team is the greatest team of all time. From top to bottom, their roster, they had more depth and more talent, and I believe that they could play with any team in any era. The Cowboys dominated over a span of 5 years like no other team's ever dominated. They won 71 games, which is more wins than any team's ever had over a span of 5 years. They say you can't buy teams, but hey, Jerry Jones did it, right? I've watched every game that they played through that span. I've also watched much football before that time, and every season since that time. I've also been able to have a chance to interview a Cowboys historian on this topic. The Cowboys' ability to control the pace of the game and attack you in every facet of the game is what makes them the greatest team of all time. And there are 3 points that I'd really like to drive across today to put emphasis on those 3 points about why they're the greatest team. The Cowboys controlled the tempo, they had depth across the defensive front, and their ability to work all parts of the field. The Cowboys' tempo control started with a man by the name of Emmitt Smith. Fabulous runner, actually the leading rusher of all time. He ran for 18,000 yards in his career. He was a runner, he was a downhill runner. He was able to make that one cut, get into the hole and make that one cut and get upfield. Whereas in my topical speech I spoke about zone blocking, this Cowboys team happened to be a base blocking scheme. But they had the talent to do it. With the all-time greatest rusher, the Cowboys were able to control the clock using an offensive line that had 5 different players make Pro Bowl appearances over that span of 5 years. Now that's not 5 appearances, that's 5 different players with multiple appearances on many of those. And a lead blocker like Daryl Moose Johnston. Emmitt Smith said in his Hall of Fame introduction that he paved the way, and he wouldn't be able to do it without him. The Cowboys controlled the clock by running the football, many times having drives of excess of 10 and 12 minutes, preventing the other offense from getting on the field, which oftentimes that running game caused the safety to creep up into the box, which left openings for Aikman over the top. Another facet of that Cowboys team that was so dynamic was the depth across the defensive front. The ability to stay persistent in persistent pursuit of the quarterback was a huge factor in their defense. They had 7 different defensive linemen, 8 different defensive linemen on some of those years that rotated in and out. 4 Pro Bowl caliber defensive tackles. And the ability to do that kept them fresh, kept them constantly going after the quarterback. And also, when teams were able to run the ball on them, they were able to change them out, interchange them fast enough where you never had the problem getting tired. And many times, you look across the league on defensive fronts, that is the problem, is keeping a fresh front in there. The Cowboys didn't have that problem, however, and that front set the tone for their entire defense. The Cowboys' ability to work all parts of the field is something offensively which all started with their running game. This is a basic cover 2 scheme with a 4-3 stack. There's 4 defensive linemen across 3 linebacker back. Cover 2 indicates the 2 safeties over the top. What the Cowboys were able to do by attacking all facets of the game It started with the running game, make no mistake about it. But Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper, later Kevin Williams, ability to get down the field on different routes. Both these guys were able to open up a lot of seams, forcing people to keep two safeties over the top. Now, many times because of success in the running game, they'd walk this safety down. And then you'd have these guys getting into those seams. But with these safeties up, if the team could stop the run with 7 guys, which did not happen, you had a tight end like Jay Novacek, who's able to work these extra seams and get over in here. And that's where Troy Aikman came in. Troy Aikman was a decision maker. A guy who was able to pick your poison. You set him in the box, he's going to stay with the run. You bring in the 8th man, he's going to hit you over the top. If you're able to stop with 7 in the box, he's going to find Novacek in the seams. Or Johnson in the flats. It's time that we recognize this 90s Cowboys team as the greatest team ever. And some of you won't be able to do that, but that's okay. I would like to see you at least include them in the conversation. Their ability to set the tempo, the depth in the defensive front, and their ability to attack all parts of the field left teams vulnerable. When the conversation comes up of who the greatest team ever is,